NBA draft is almost here, Bulls fans, and I couldn't be more excited. So coming up on today's show, I wanted to go over the top draft targets for your Chicago Bulls ahead of the 2024 NBA draft. What's going on, guys? Welcome to the Bulls Report. My name is Patrick Siepman, and let's get the good vibes going. Let's get rowdy down in the comment section. If you guys are excited for the NBA draft, just give me a mead down below in the comment section. I'll show you guys some love down there. So if you guys are pumped up, type me down below in the comment section, and let's dive into it. So my top 5 draft targets for the Chicago Bulls, and this is in order. So number 1, my number 1 draft pick, what would have me absolutely jumping off the walls if the Bulls left after Wednesday with Cody Williams, the forward from Colorado. He is the younger brother of Jalen Williams, the good Jalen Williams, on the Oklahoma City Thunder. And the more I look at this guy, the more I watch his tape, the more I dive into him, the more I like him. And, he is 19 years old, so he would be more of a developmental pick. I don't know if he would come on, for the Bulls roster and just make immediate impact. This would be a guy you hope, in years 3, 4, and 5, he is one of the best defensive players in the league. But he's got really good size to him, 6'8", 190 pounds, got a really long wingspan, just a freak athlete. And I put his pro comp, I wanted to put his brother for this, but I just think his brother is, more skilled offensively and was more refined coming out. But he reminds me a lot of Jaden McDaniels coming out of college. They have very similar archetypes, very similar body types, where they're both super, super long, really long arms. They both, don't really have the strongest chest, as why we saw McDaniels kind of get picked on by Luka. But McDaniels, one of the best defensive players in the league, can guard multiple positions. And I just love, McDaniels and Williams in terms of their length, because I think deflections on basketballs is such an underrated stat we have in the NBA, because when you get a deflection, it just disrupts what the other team is trying to do offensively. I compare deflections to pressures in the NFL, where it's not like, how steals would be sacks, like pressures, would be deflections. But some of his strengths, finishing in the transition game, he's fantastic, runs the floor really well, has, strong knowledge of, filling lanes on the fast break. Weakness I had for him, and, he can work on this, no doubt about it. Shot creation. I would like to see him, develop some 1-dribble, 2-dribble pull-up games, or just something more off the dribble, because a lot of his game this past season with the Buffaloes was, catch and shoot, spot up opportunities, or running in transition. But he had a great year, man. And, his shooting percentage this past season of 41.5%, I don't think he's going to be an elite three-point shooter right away, even though he did shoot 40+% this past season. Because he wasn't necessarily the greatest shooter coming out of high school. I don't know if this was kind of a fluke, but he shot the ball really well, and I like his form. And the thing I love about Cody the most is he plays his ass off. He plays 110% every single time he's out there on the basketball court, and the man shot 55%. 55% as an 18-year-old, averaging 12 points a game in 28 minutes. And he is my top draft target for the Bulls, no doubt about it. Obviously, when you're judging these guys, it's kind of just super minuscule things that you like more, where he's, number 1. But like all 5 of these guys, I would be thrilled with the Bulls drafting on Wednesday. But Cody Williams, I think he's officially my number 1 draft target for Chicago. Now, number 2, this is the boom or bust guy. And I wanted to put him number 1 because I want to see the Bulls swing big. But I put Ron Holland on here. And Ron Holland is a freak athlete. You go throw on his tape, I guarantee you within the first 2 minutes of it, it is him posterizing somebody or just doing a crazy dunk. But why I think he's the most, boom or bust guy in this year's draft is he is still under the age of 19. I believe he turns it here in July, so obviously he's going to be 19 before the season starts, but he's got really good size. He has more strength on his body right now in comparison to Cody Williams. But the pro comp I had for him, and this was hard for me, but I gave him Cam Whitmore. And the reason for that, I was thinking of just like an AAU style of hooper who's a freak athlete, can, shoot decently off the dribble, even though there was some crazy stat out there of Cam Whitmore where 20% of his misses were classified as bad misses, or for Ron Holland, were classified as bad misses this past year, which either means he is barely touching the rim or he is airballing. So, definitely has a ton of work to do on his jump shot. But I think his role in the league would just be that slashing wing. If he could ever develop into like a Jaylen Brown. Like, I think that's like his ceiling comparison. But again, he is a boomer bust guy. Like, I could see Ron Holland being a guy where it's like we're looking back in 3 years and like, how could we possibly draft him? Like, we saw the red flags. But then on the other side of things, you're going to be saying, how did he not go in the top 5? Like, I think he is that polarizing a prospect where he could either be, one of the biggest risers in this year's draft or one of the biggest fallers. So, but my biggest concern for him is his offensive ceiling. I just don't see, his shooting ability. Like, it just really concerns me. But in terms of being an athlete, a defensive player, and a slashing wing, he might be number 1 in all of those categories heading into the draft. But number 3 for me, I got Devin Carter. And, an interesting report came out a couple weeks ago where it suggested that Devin Carter got a promise from a team in the lottery that he will not fall out of the lottery. And a lot of people started speculating that it was the Chicago Bulls. And, if you would have asked me about Devin Carter before the Alex Caruso trade, I would have said I am good. But now with the Bulls, having a need for a defensive-minded, gritty guard, obviously we do have Dosunmu. So, it's not like Devin Carter is a huge need on this roster, but I think it would be pretty cool if you had Josh Giddey, the playmaking guard, Kobe White, the offensive 3-level scoring guard, Dosunmu, that like gritty, long defensive guard. Then you would have Devin Carter, where it's like he's that spark plug, that Josh Hart, type of player. But my scouting report on him, he is the Energizer Bunny, and that's what I'm going to call him, heading into this draft. Like, he just brings energy. He's diving on the floor. He's getting up. He is energizing his teammates, and I think the Bulls need more of that. That's why he's moving up my draft board. And top of the break threes, fantastic this past season for the Providence Friars. And we have seen top of the break threes are a huge part of just modern-day NBA offenses, and you're going to need to be able to knock those down. He has that ability to do so. I compared him to a guy like a Derek White for the Boston Celtics. Again, that's a ceiling comparison for him, but he plays very similar fashion. He's also got great range, 18-plus made threes this past season on 25-plus feet, so NBA range, good to see that. Love his strength, really strong chest. He's an older prospect at 22.2 years old, so he should be, but, it just helps him, cutting off drivers, trying to get to the bucket, and that's what I love the most right here, this bottom one. Spot-up possessions. He averaged 1.06 points per spot up, which was in the 84th percentile this past season in college basketball. What does that mean? Every single time he caught the ball in a spot-up opportunity, he averaged generating 1.06 points per possession. And his numbers this past season for the Friars, ridiculous, ladies and gentlemen. Almost 20 points a night. Almost averaged 9 rebounds as a small guard. Insane. Devin Carter just kind of speaks to his hustle that he's able to hit the glass with that high of productivity, but very efficient as well. And the thing I was most concerned about Carter heading into this season of college basketball was Providence did lose their best player before this, or right when the season started. Devin Carter, so his usage rate, his shots per game went up, and the efficiency maintained, which I think is a huge green flag when scouting these guys. So I know Bulls fans, we don't necessarily want to draft a guard, and yes, I would prefer a wing or center, but the only guard I am necessarily drafting is Devin Carter, and also a guy we'll talk about here in a little bit. But got some big-time programming news here on the channel. Couldn't be more excited. We are actually going to be going live for the first day of the NBA draft. We'll be live an hour before it gets underway, so make sure you guys are subscribed. You're not going to want to miss out. We'll just be chopping it up, breaking down each draft prospect, having a couple of drinks, just having a good time, and interacting with you guys down in the chat. So if you guys could hit that subscribe button, turn on that notification bell. It's right down there. It's all free, and it really helps us out. So if you guys want to tune in to our draft watch party, please do so. But number 4 for me, Dalton Connect, the guard forward out of Tennessee who absolutely lit up college basketball this past season. He was a JUCO player originally, worked his way up the ranks of the college basketball scene, and he absolutely took over this past season for the Volunteers. And, more on Connect here. He's 6'6", 204 pounds. He has a sneaky long wingspan at 6'9". And, his strengths, keep it simple. He's a great shooter. But, it's not that prototypical, white guy analysis when you're talking about a white basketball player where it's like, oh, he's just a shooter. Connect has great athleticism. He can get to the rim. He can score at all 3 levels. And I love his pull-up mid-range, which obviously in the NBA, teams run a lot of drop coverage. It's just kind of the MO now in terms of guarding pick and roll. So you've got to have that ability to step up and knock down a mid-range jump shot. Dalton Connect does that at a very, very high level. Weaknesses, I just can't see how he's going to be an average defender in the NBA. He's not the best athlete in terms of moving horizontally, so I could see that, causing him some issues. But, I mean, as a scorer, man, this dude's fantastic. In 30 minutes a game, he averaged almost 22 points a night, and he was one of the most efficient players in college basketball this past season, shooting 46% from the field and almost 40% from downtown. He had a super high usage rate, so you love to see the efficiency, maintaining as well. And, if you're comparing Connect to like a guy like Cody Williams, they're honestly complete opposites, where Connect's the more offensive-minded forward, where he would be, ready to go right away, where, then Cody Williams would be the more, developmental pick, and he leans more towards the defensive side of the floor. But, hey, Connect, if that's a pick at 11, I would be absolutely thrilled about that. But number 5 for me is the TikTok sensation, actually, Jared McCain, guard out of Duke. And this is a super interesting prospect because, I got him listed as a guard right now, but I really don't know what position he would play at the next level. Let's go over some pros for him. So what I love about him the most is his jump shot. He's got a super quick release, but he's also got a very repeatable shot form. He's got the same base every single time. It's super, super solid. Puts the ball up very, 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 very quick. So I love to see that because that's something that would translate no matter what. Even if he does struggle, let's just say getting to the basket, he will still have this ability, as a pro. And I like the way he moves. He moves very well laterally. He's a very strong player. So like I said, the same thing about Devin Carter, using his chest to be able to cut off drivers. McCain is, he has the ability to do the same way. But, cons for him, like, I don't really know what position he's going to play. He's 6'2", 6'3", so I don't know if he could play any starting shooting guard, and I don't know if he could play, point guard. I don't know if he has the handle for that, but, he's not also a very vertical athlete, and he's not the best finisher amongst bigs, so he's definitely a perimeter player. But it's weird. Like, he is so good at shooting the basketball. He's so good at defending on the perimeter, but it's just like, what position could he play? You can't really do anything on the interior. So, like I was saying, how Ron Holland's a very polarizing prospect. Like, I could throw Jared McCain into that as well, but he was awesome for the Blue Devils this past season in his freshman year. The shooting ability, he had it dating back to high school, and it translated to the college game, so I'm assuming it's going to translate to the next level. Shooting 41.4% this past season, fantastic. 14 points a game as a freshman for the Duke Blue Devils is great. 5 rebounds, 1.1 steal a night, and he just plays winning basketball, man. Like, Like, he is that Derek White type of player. He is that guy who's just going to make the right read, knock down jump shots at a high clip. And, if he's the pick at 11, it would be kind of a reach, but I wouldn't hate it at all, even though I would prefer the Bulls to go either big or a wing. If there's a guard they're going to take, I'm fine with either Jared McCain or Devin Carter. But you guys let me know. Drop a prospect's name down in the comments section. I just gave you guys 5. You guys just now got to give me one name. Who is your top draft target for the Bulls? Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section, as I am absolutely thrilled for this draft to get underway. So make sure you guys are subscribed. We're going to go in live an hour before the draft does start. So turn on that notification bell, and make sure you guys don't miss a thing around your favorite basketball team. See y'all next time. As always, go Bulls.